How many digital devices do you own? And how many apps and programs do you run on them? If you're anything like the millions of people who spend a sizable part of their day toggling between social media platforms, multiple browser tabs, email and instant messaging services, the answer is likely to be a fair few. Being a digital native, someone raised in the age of digital technology and familiar from an early age with the internet and computers, is hard work. There's so much data continually pinging into our literal and metaphorical inboxes that it's difficult to block out what we don't need and concentrate on the task at hand. So how can we overcome digital distractions? This video is here to help. Deploying examples drawn from experimental neuroscience research, psychology and Buddhist philosophy, it suggests ways in which we can learn to be more mindful, less distracted and enjoy the moments that matter most of all. The internet is at the heart of our lives today. According to Nielsen and the Pew Research Center, the average American spends around 60 hours online every month. Digital devices open up new worlds, but this new age of connectivity can come at a cost. As we are ever more reliant on our devices, we run the risk of becoming addicted to the internet. If that sounds like an exaggeration, take a look at a study carried out by researchers at the University of Maryland, who asked students from 10 different countries to spend a day offline, and report their experiences. The results were, to put it mildly, alarming. The language the students used recalled substance addiction. One participant from the United Kingdom said they craved their devices, while an American student added that he felt like a drug addict, tweaking for a taste of information. Another British student flatly admitted his addiction. "I don't need alcohol, cocaine or any other derailing form of social depravity," he said. "Media is my drug, without it I was lost." Why have computers become so distracting? Their affordability and rapidly increasing power means they've become a ubiquitous presence in our lives. But there's more to it than that. Professors Byron Reeves and Clifford Nass of Stanford University claim that computers are now so embedded in everyday life that we're increasingly treating them like humans. That's because we feel more intimately connected to computers that are interactive and receptive. Take a social experiment recently conducted by Jeremy Bailenson, the director of Stanford University's Virtual Human Interaction Laboratory, and graduate student Nick Yee. The pair used virtual reality to create highly realistic avatars and asked participants to listen to them as they gave a 4-minute speech. During the talk, some of the avatars regularly mirrored the body language and facial expressions of their listeners, while others were less responsive. When Bailenson and Yee asked the participants whether they found the more interactive avatars more persuasive and attractive than the less interactive ones, the answer was a resounding yes. This suggests that we have a more profound connection with computers when they're more responsive and interactive. What's more, this connection could be utilized to help us reach our goals. One way to block out distractions is to become more mindfulness. Our need for mindfulness will only increase as computers come to play an ever more important role in our lives. So where do we find respite from the distractions of busy everyday life? There's a whole range of options out there, from yoga to the latest app promising peace of mind. But there's another answer, and it's something we do every day: walking. That's because taking a stroll is an excellent stimulant to thought. Take Charles Darwin. In 1842, the Darwin family moved into their new home, named Down House, in the village of Bromley, on the outskirts of London. The location had been carefully chosen. It was close enough to the city to be convenient, but distant enough to keep distractions at arm's length. One of the house's most distinctive features was the Sandwalk, a quarter-mile gravel path constructed by Darwin shortly after the family had settled in. It soon became known as Darwin's thinking path. For almost 40 years, the biologist would take a daily walk along the path, pondering the scientific conundrums he was currently working on. The historian James Moore, a professor at the Open University, claims that the Sandwalk was the most important feature of Darwin's home. The results certainly speak for themselves. Darwin published 18 books and monographs during his time at Down House. So why is walking so effective? Well, it's a great way of letting your mind wander freely, as it's both a break from your usual routine, and an activity that doesn't require your undivided attention. Another way to get away from additive distractions is to simply switch them off. If you're anything like the millions of us who spend more than 8 hours a day toggling between social media messages and work emails, you might want to consider taking the digital Sabbath. First used by Silicon Valley-based psychologist and Dylan Schneider, the concept refers to the practice of taking a break from the internet and disconnecting your devices. The idea is both simple and effective. By tuning out the background noise that surrounds us online, we create more space for greater meaning in our lives. If you're skeptical, just ask the self-avowed digital Sabbatarian and former social media junkie, Shay Colson. Shay decided to take an extended break from the online world during his month-long honeymoon in Bali. The Colsons took an old-school approach to their romantic break, ditching internet access, Wikipedia and QR codes, and embracing guidebooks, printed tickets and paper reservation slips. The results were radical. Rather than obsessively taking photographs to upload onto social media platforms, Shay found himself present in the moment, enjoying the time he was spending with his new wife. But that doesn't mean you need to go full cold turkey. Your best bet is to identify which sites, apps, and devices you find most addictive and distracting and concentrate on limiting your access to those. That's what Tesla Motors engineer David Wottel did after he noticed how his habit of carrying a tablet around with him was damaging his relationship with his young son. His moment of revelation came in a park one Saturday. His son had asked him if they could go somewhere, and rather than giving him his full attention, Wottel found himself telling his son to wait until he'd finished the article he was reading. Worried that this would damage their relationship, Wottel made the choice to always leave his tablet at home, and switch off his cell phone when he spent time with his son. That freed up his attention and allowed him to be present for the most important moments of his childhood. You don't have to renounce the internet and connectivity, all that's required is taking some time out. After all, distraction is a choice. It's easy to blame technology for distracting us from our work and our families, but distraction goes deeper than the internet or the latest app, it's a state of mind. If we start a task without already being in the right mindset, the smallest things, the ping of an email landing in our inbox, or the vibration of our phones, can break our concentration. Attentiveness to the task at hand is an ability honed over time by both willpower and mindfulness. Thanks for watching and please subscribe to this channel.